My name is TIMA Ali. I lead a program called Kids in Tech under Safaricom Women in Technology. So what Kids in Tech is about is we train kids from the age of 7 to 13 on digital literacy and coding. Why? Because we want to get kids interested in tech at a really early age, so spark an interest in their minds so that it becomes an option in their education and eventually in their career. So I first joined Safaricom in 2018 as an intern. So as an intern, there was a program called Kids Go Tech. So what Kids Go Tech used to do, and I got to volunteer for Kids Go Tech, is they used to train kids on the fundamentals of engineering. So they would build bridges, they would learn about hydraulics. And so when I rejoined Safaricom after finishing school, I really thought about how an incredible initiative Kids Go Tech was. At this point, it had sort of died down. And so I decided to kickstart a new initiative called Kids in Tech. And we sort of switched our focus from the fundamentals of engineering more towards digital literacy and coding, because that is the future of the tech industry. We're in a space where AI is really a big thing. And so trying to segue this program into something more digital was my initial goal. And so with that, I decided to relaunch the program in November of 2022. And I've been leading this program with an incredible group of 6 individuals. So as I mentioned earlier, Kids in Tech focuses on children aged 7 to 13. In Kenya, I was an 844 person, so that was primary school. I don't know if they still call it primary school, but essentially, I guess it's between grade 1 to grade 8. So that's the age group of kids that we focus on, and we're very keen on ensuring that the girl child is very impacted by our program. So we ensure that at least 50% of the kids that we train are girls. So far, since November of 2022, we've trained 1,200 kids in Mombasa and in Nairobi. So one of the success stories that immediately comes to mind is a training that we did in Eastlands here in Nairobi. And our main target was to ensure that we reach the underserved communities or the underserved kids. And so the way we operate, or I operate Kids in Tech, is we leverage heavily on partnerships. And so we got to partner with the Nairobi County government to train just about 100 kids in Eastlands in a period of 2 weekends. And it was really interesting to see how excited these kids were. So the reason why Kids in Tech focuses on digital literacy as well is many a times we get to kids that have never seen a laptop before. And so to be able to see that bright, shining smile on a child's face when they can code something or they can learn about computers, it's really something extremely rewarding to me. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind, because we really touched kids that deserved it. Our biggest challenge, of course, is always how do we ensure we reach as many kids as possible throughout Kenya. As I've mentioned, we've mainly focused in Kenya and Mombasa, and our goal is to reach more communities throughout Kenya. Our biggest challenge remains sustainability and budget. And so how we go about it, and I've touched on this briefly, is we leverage heavily on partnerships. So if we identify an area that we're going, for example, the outreach that we did in Mombasa, I could only take 5 trainers with me. And so how we go about it to ensure that we're able to still train over 300 kids in a period of a week is by leveraging on partnerships. How we went about this particular situation is we reached out to Huawei, and we were able to partner with them on what they call the Huawei DigiTruck. The DigiTruck is a moving laboratory, essentially. So it's fully equipped with 20 laptops. And so with this capability, we were able to go to 5 different primary schools in Mombasa and really do some impactful work with the kids. And so in a nutshell, our biggest constraint remains sustainability, and we're able to navigate that by ensuring we leverage heavily on partnerships. So when I look at the future of Kids in Tech and what we do for kids within the community, is how do we ensure this becomes a day-to-day activity that they can do? What I struggle with right now is the fact that if we go do an outreach, that is possibly the end of it. So my goal is to ensure sustainability, try and include this as part of our curriculum. And so that becomes an opportunity for not just the community, but also the teachers to take initiative to actually teach their kids or the students digital literacy and coding. And so the future of kids in tech lies around incorporating this into our curriculum so that it becomes a day-to-day thing that kids interact with. One of my biggest fears is that you would go to a community, you would teach someone something, and once you leave, that's it. They forget about you, they forget what they learned, and so the impact cannot really be felt until it becomes a continuous learning experience. So as I mentioned earlier, my initiative focuses to ensure at least 50% of the kids that we train are actually girls. Why have we made it in such a way that we're doing it 50-50 boys and girls? Because when they're young, everybody deserves that equal opportunity to actually learn. And so by ensuring that we encourage at least 50% of girls to show up for this training, we are paving the way forward for these girls. I don't want to call them women. They'll be women later. But we are forging a path for them. One of the key things, foundational education is very, very key for everyone. And so if we lay the correct foundation for this beautiful young girl, then it means as they advance in their education, then going into the tech industry, choosing maths, choosing the sciences becomes an option for them. And by also being an example, most of the time when I go for these trainings, I carry a huge number of girls or ladies. Yeah, these ones are now ladies. I carry a huge number of girls with me so that they serve as a living example to these young girls of what is truly capable. They set the example of fantastic female engineers who are making it in the tech industry. And that also becomes one of the items that I use to ensure that the girl child is well represented. And so in a nutshell, I focus on creating a good example by taking ladies with me for these trainings. And one of the things that we try to do as well with kids in tech is just to, when we have a slightly older age group, say from 10 to 13, we try to talk to them about careers in tech so that it also becomes something that they can start thinking of as well. That is how Kids in Tech is paving the way forward and accelerating action for women within the tech industry.